Welcome to the world of the paranormal. Turn down the lights, grab a glass of your favorite beverage, and join me in witnessing the things that go bump in the night. In today's episode, I will discuss a ghost that has multiple names, including the woman in white and the weeping woman. There are multiple origin stories for this entity, depending on where you go in the world, and she is always wearing a white dress or a gown. Usually the story involves a betrayal by her husband or boyfriend, her ending her children's lives and then her own. Other common themes of this legend are that she is searching for her children or appears to males traveling alone at night, attacking them if they say yes to taking her home. The reach of her popularity has her appearing in multiple forms of media, including but not limited to movies, TV shows, and video games. In 2019, a United Kingdom family had stayed at Blenkinsop Castle in Northumberland, England, and their son had a spooky enough encounter with this entity on the first night that he had slept in his parents' room the rest of their stay, and had hardly let them out of his sight, even during the day. She tried to drag him away to bring him to the location of some treasure in the castle, and got upset when he wouldn't go with her. It is said that she cannot rest until someone knows where the treasure is. In Ogmore, Bridgend, Wales, there is a story of her allowing men to take half of a treasure found in the tower at Ogmore Castle. Then if they returned for the rest of the treasure, she would attack them, causing the men to become gravely ill. On their deathbeds they would confess to their greed and to become known as Why Lady Gwen's Revenge. In Brazil she is known as Dama Branca and is said to be a young woman who died during childbirth or from violent causes. She appears as a pale woman in a white dress or sleeping gown. She hardly talks, though when she does, she recounts her misfortunes. The origins for this legend aren't too clear, though it is said that they were murdered by their father or husband in what is known as an honor killing. These men carry out the killings because of adultery, both actual and suspected, denial of sex, or abuse. In Quebec City, Quebec, Canada, there is a story of a couple who are making wedding arrangements. The soon-to-be husband was called to serve in battle and had been killed during the Battle of Beauport on July 31st, 1759. A year later, she put on the wedding dress she had lovingly made in preparation for the big day, and threw herself into the Montmorency Falls, where she and her love had met regularly before their demises. She is known as La Dame Blanche, as she is seen amongst the white mists of the waterfall and isn't known to interact with the living. Another location of a woman in white sighting is Mukilteo, Washington. She is seen near Clearview Drive in the woods, and there are stories of crying and screaming at the waterfalls near Clearview Drive. At night she is said to appear before drivers trying to hitch a ride, or is standing in the middle of the road pointing and suddenly disappearing as the vehicle is about to strike her. Some reports of this woman in white are of her throwing items at a car or setting mangled animals in the middle of the road. In a local newspaper, the Mukilteo Beacon, a resident had stated, "Go down Clearview Drive 8:30 p.m. There ain't no coming back. She'll find you. She can smell your blood and fear." In the pilot episode of the show Supernatural, the woman in white appears as a 24-year-old lady named Constance Welsh who committed suicide by jumping off the Sylvania Bridge near the Centennial Highway in Jericho, California. She had drowned her kids after finding out her husband had been unfaithful, then after realizing what she had done, decided to end her own life. Other aspects of the legend the show used was that she would appear to men driving alone at night, attacking them if they agreed to go home with her and that she could not go home. Her ghost was defeated when the character Dean Winchester said yes to going home with her, then forcibly drove his car into the abandoned house that she had lived in while she was alive. This entity also appears in movies, one example being the movie The Grudge, which originally was released in Japan in 2002 as Ju-on, then in 2004 as The Grudge, and again in early 2020 as a soft reboot/sequel, The Grudge. In Ju-on, a man was convinced his wife was having an affair, so in a fit of rage he murdered her, their son, and their son's pet cat. The 2004 version of the film takes place after the husband brutally murders his family and an American couple moves into that house with the husband's mother who has dementia. Both the original and the American version had sequels. In the soft reboot version, an American live-in nurse was horrified by the events that had occurred in the house during the previous movies, and upon finding out about them, moves back to America, not realizing the ghost of the previous movies had followed her home. She had killed her family before taking her own life. From there, the Grudge ghost victimized other people over the years as they moved into the house the nurse had lived in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. In the description down below will be a link to a documentary of Peg Entwistle, a Hollywood actress who had committed suicide by jumping off the H of the Hollywood sign and became a famous woman in white story. Don't forget to stay spooky and stay tuned for the next episode where I will list 6 creepy locations and people of the world.